Hello and welcome to the 46th episode of Jazzology, presented by Savage Content. I'm your host, Willard Jenkins. We're here alternating Fridays, giving two jazz fans the opportunity to compete against each other for a chance to win $100. Each contestant will be asked a question worth 2 points. If they're unable to answer that question correctly, their opponent will have a chance to steal the question for 1 point. We'll ask 10 questions, and at the end of the 10 questions, the person with the lowest score will get a bonus question for the opportunity to tie the score, no matter how far behind they may be. If they're successful, the game will go to sudden death. The person in the lead at the end of regulation will go first, and each contestant will take turns trying to answer the sudden death multiple choice question until we have a winner. And now let's meet this week's contestants. Our reigning Jazzology champion is Ben Young. Ben has been involved in jazz since the early 1990s, programming on New York's WKCR, teaching at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and researching for publications of music across the spectrum of jazz. Ben Young is currently the director of the Jazz History Database at WPI in Worcester, Massachusetts, and is the author of the forthcoming biography, A New Energy, Cause and Consequence in the Musical Career of Cecil Taylor. Are you ready to meet your challenger, Ben?
Yes, Willard.
All right. Well, our challenger for this 46th episode of Jazzology marks the return of Joe Petrucelli, who is the executive director of the Jazz Foundation of America, whose responsibilities include program development, fundraising, production, and financial management. And now let's get to today's questions. And as our reigning champion, Ben Young goes first. Are you ready, Ben?
Yes, I'll take it.
All right, Ben. The fast rising young alto saxophonist Alexa Tarantino, who has played with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra and the all-woman group Artemis among her affiliations, is a native of what city? Is Alexa Tarantino from Boston, Massachusetts? Is she from West Hartford, Connecticut? Is she from Portland, Maine? Is she from Providence, Rhode Island? Or is Alexa Tarantino from Burlington, Vermont? Where is the fast-rising young alto saxophonist Alexa Tarantino from, Ben?
I'm gonna fumble this one, no doubt. I do not know the answer, and I'm looking forward to finding it out. These are all places pretty close to where I'm at right now.
Yes, they are.
I don't. Boston seems obvious, and I'm going to bypass it, and I'll regret that later. I'm coming down to the middle three. I'm going to guess that she is from. I like West Hartford. Let's go with that. Let her be.
What a guess. Oh, my goodness. What a good guesser. Oh, he pulled a guess out of his hat, Joe.
It's great work. That's my native state. I think on the air, Ben might cheat and just say New England born fast rising saxophone. But yeah, that's great. Great to learn.
Joe, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Joe, vocalist Renee Marie is a native of which city? We're on geography once again. Renee Marie is she a native of A, Richmond, Virginia, B, Hampton, Virginia, C, Washington, D.C., D, Arlington, Virginia, or E, Warrenton, Virginia?
Wow, this is...
Where is Renee Marie from?
Yes. Where in Virginia or the Beltway? This is tough. I'm going to hazard a guess with B, Hampton, Virginia.
That is incorrect. And Ben Young has an opportunity. Yes, Ben Young has an opportunity to steal the question, to steal a point. So, Ben, vocalist Renee Marie is a native of which city? Is it A? Is Renee Marie from Richmond, Virginia? Is she from B, Hampton, Virginia? Is she from C, Washington, D.C.? Is she from D, Arlington, Virginia? Or is she from E, Warrenton, Virginia?
And we've eliminated B, right? That was
Yes, we have. We've
I like
eliminated
that
one.
answer. Joe, I would have gone there too. Let's see. I'm this again is not based on information, but just taking a chance on it. How about if Renee Marie is from Richmond, letter A?
That is incorrect as well. Renee Marie is from E, Warrenton, Virginia.
Okay.
Which may have been the least likely of those places, but that's where she's from Warrenton, Virginia, down in the Tidewater area, but it's Warrenton and not Hampton. So, Ben, you're up next. Ben, in 2018, when its trumpeter and leader, Irvin Mayfield, stepped down amidst scandal from his leadership of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, who took his place as New Orleans Jazz Orchestra leader? Would that be A, Delfeo Marsalis, B, Kermit Ruffins, C, Terrence Blanchard, D, Roland Guerin, or E, Adonis Rose?
Man, that's a good one. I don't think it's Delfeo, and I don't suppose that Terrence Blanchard took that job. Kermit Ruffins, I think, has been a running mate enough that he's in the spectrum in my mind at least, enough to be a contender. So I'm sticking with B, Kermit Ruffins.
That is incorrect. So, Joe, chance to steal the point. Joe, in 2018, when its trumpeter and leader, Irvin Mayfield, stepped down amidst scandal from his leadership of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra, who took his place as New Orleans Jazz Orchestra leader? Would that be A, Delfeo Marsalis? B, Kermit Ruffins has been eliminated. C, Terrence Blanchard. D, Roland Guerin. Or E, Adonis Rose?
I'm pretty confident in this one because I recall going to Jazz Fest maybe in 2018 and attending a party celebrating this appointment and the development of that jazz market where No Joe has a space.
Right.
It's also the last time I saw the late, great Ellis Marsalis. So I'll never forget that one. And the answer is E, Adonis Rose.
That is correct. When Irvin Mayfield was forced to step down, he was succeeded by drummer Adonis Rose as the leader of the New Orleans Jazz Orchestra. So you are correct. And Joe steals the point. And we are at 2-1. Very close. So Joe, your turn next. Joe, which of the following Latin jazz pianists were raised by a piano-playing father? Would that be A, Arturo O'Farrell, B, Chucho Valdez, C, Arjuan Ortiz, D, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, or E, A, B, and D?
Wow. Okay. This is one of those where if I spell out my rationale too much. we limit it to 2 answers. And if I'm wrong, then we know what happens. But I'm certainly aware of Arturo Farrell being raised by a piano playing father. And so that's going to eliminate some options here. I don't know much about the genealogy and lineage of some of these others, but I'm going to go for E, A, B, and D.
And that is correct. That is correct. In fact, Chucho Valdez's father was Bebo Valdez, who was a brilliant pianist in his own right. And the others, except for R1 Ortiz, the others were raised by piano-playing fathers. So you are correct, Joe. Ben, your turn.
All right.
Ben, the rising young vibraphonist who has recorded for the Blue Note label, Joel Ross, is from which of the following cities? Is Joel Ross from A, Chicago, B, Philadelphia, C, New York City, D, Boston, or E, Memphis?
Man, there's not a whole lot to explain because, again, I don't know this answer, and I don't even know Joel Ross's work as well as I should.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Time to catch up.
It is. I think, boy, kind of just in the dark here. I'm going to say Joel Ross might be from maybe he is from Boston. Let's try D.
Boston?
That's my guess.
That's been eliminated. All right. He is not from Boston. But Joe, the rising young vibraphonist who records for Blue Note Records, Joel Ross, is from which of the following cities? Is he from A, Chicago, B, Philadelphia, D, C, New York City, D, Boston has been eliminated, or E, Memphis? Seems like you're muted.
Thanks. Okay, I was just buying time anyway. I'm guessing on this one. I've heard Joel's albums and I've seen him here in New York, and he's really transcended geography in so many ways. Just to identify with a single city is tough. But now something told me Chicago is, if not the answer, a good guess. So I'm going to say A, Chicago.
And yes, that is correct. Joel Ross is from Chicago. All right. Jazzology is brought to you by Savage Content. Savage Content is building music, art, and creative content for the soul, spirit, and empowerment. The legendary Freddie Cole celebrated his 85th birthday at Manchester Craftsman's Guild Jazz, MCG Jazz in Pittsburgh, with a memorable performance. You can celebrate with him by watching the latest video release from Savage Content, which can be viewed right here on the Savage Content YouTube channel. Savage Content is releasing classic performances like this, plus new and never before seen performances, along with new and classic interviews every week. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to get notified about the latest Savage content releases, including Jazzology. Our Jazzology new record of the week is the latest from Hammond B3 organist and pianist Mike LeDun. Mike LeDun's Groover Quartet plus Big Band. It's called It's All Your Fault on the Savant label. And now it's time to ask our Jazzology contestants our favorite question. But these two gentlemen are both returnees. And they've responded to this question earlier about how they got into jazz. So we'll ask you now, Ben, what's your latest jazz project?
Man, always a bunch of stuff cooking up. Over at the Jazz History Database, we're doing a lot of work on the collections of a couple of singers, Evelyn Blakey, the oldest child of Art Blakey, and also the singer Ruth Olay, who died a couple of years ago, and her centennial's coming up next year. So that's the top of head answer, because that's what's on my work docket for these days, Willard.
Okay, and how are the Rashid Ali recordings going?
Pretty good, actually. Since we talked about that last, we've had another meeting where we checked in on all the topics, and we're finishing up all of that, the last little details. I think those records are going to come out in the front half of 2024.
And that was that label was Survival, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Joe, what are you working on these days?
Well, we're always busy at the Jazz Foundation, just with our core programming. So we work with 12 musicians and their families across the country every year, providing emergency financial support and direct relief. And we're producing gigs too in schools and nursing homes and parks and other community centers. This year we've returned to something close to our pre-pandemic levels of presenting, which is really exciting. So 800 concerts and 3,000 gigs for musicians, and reaching 60,000 listeners across the country in person, in addition to a Wednesday afternoon live stream that we do from the New Orleans Jazz Museum, and a Thursday afternoon live stream that we do from the Jazz Museum in Harlem. So we're busy as always. And one particular project that's timely at this during the holidays here is we worked on a Jazz Foundation benefit compilation album with Hank O'Neill, longtime board member and the founder of Chiaroscuro Records. Right. So this one's called In the Key of Chiaroscuro, and it features recordings that Hank made for the label going back to the 70s, beginning with Dave McKenna and Earl Hines. They would record Christmas tunes when they did sessions, and Hank, in lieu of a holiday card, would press a bunch of 45s and send them out. He said it was even cost efficient and less than cardstock at the time. And so this has about 18 little or never heard tracks of holiday music, many of them broadcast originally on WVIA FM's show produced by Andy Sordoni called Christmas Music, The Jazz Feeling. So we've got Frank Farr, Frank West, Dorothy Donegan, and just dozens more on here. So check it out.
All right, send me one of those.
All right, you got it.
For radio. I do holiday shows. All right, well, Joe, you're up next. Joe, the drummer Eric Harland went to the same high school for the performing arts as which of the following jazz artists? Would that be A, Kendrick Scott, B, Jameer Williams, C, Jason Moran, D, Reggie Quinterly, or E, all of the above? And that would be the Performing Arts High School in Houston, Texas.
Right. Man, this is tough. I had it in my head that you were going to include Jason Moran and Robert Glasper, and somehow they would be incompatible. Robert's not on here. I know he's from Houston, but I don't know. I thought it was the same high school. I'm going to go E, all of the above.
And you are correct. All of those fine musicians did indeed go to the Performing Arts High School in Houston. Drummers Kendrick Scott, Jamire Williams, and Reggie Quinley, and pianist Jason Moran. They all went to the Performing Arts High School in Houston, Texas, as did Robert Glasper.
Okay.
Yes, so you were right on that impulse. All right, Ben, you ready? All right, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, Ben, composer and band leader, NEA jazz master Maria Schneider studied with which of the following artists? Was that A, Bob Brookmeyer, B, Gil Evans, C, Thad Jones, E, Quincy Jones, D, Quincy Jones, or E, Charlie Hayden?
Man, well, either it's very obvious or it's a trick question, and correspondingly, I'm either going to get it right or get it wrong. She is so
They're all
close
trick
to
questions, Ben.
Well, for me, who doesn't know them, that is correct. She's so closely associated with the sound of Gil Evans, and I believe worked closely enough with him that should be the logical, good answer. I'm not liking D and E too much. EC also seems rather improbable. A would be my runner-up, but I'm staying with B for the moment.
You're going to stay with B, Gil Evans?
I am.
She did not study with Gil Evans. She worked with him as a copyist, but she did not study with him per se.
Fair enough.
All right, so Joe, composer and band leader, NEA jazz master Maria Schneider studied with which of the following? Would that have been A, Bob Brookmeyer? B, Gil Evans has been eliminated. C, Thad Jones. D, Quincy Jones. Or E, Charlie Hayden?
Well, I swear my rationale is identical to Ben's. And I would have guessed B for Gil Evans. And now, I don't want to overthink it and assume my second guess is sort of deception. So I will guess A, Bob Brookmeyer.
And you are correct. It was indeed Bob Brookmeyer who she formerly studied with. All right, so that leaves you next, Joe. You stole that point, and Joe is up 7-2. Ben still has plenty of opportunity to catch up. Let's see what we can do. But Joe, it's your turn. The book, How to Listen to Jazz, was authored by whom? Would that have been your buddy, Howard Mandel? Or B, Bob Blumenthal? Or C, Louis Porter? Or D, Ted Gioia? Or E, Quinn Gabbard? Which of those authors wrote that book, How to Listen to Jazz?
Okay. Well, I can see a color block on the spine of a book by the person I'm pretty sure is that author. It'd be pretty hip if I could just pull this one off the shelf, but I don't have it behind me. I'm going to say the author of How to Listen to Jazz is D, Ted Gioia.
And that is indeed correct. Ted Gioia did contribute the book, how to listen to jazz. So Ben, it's time for some serious catch up here.